North Atlantic storm? Could it become subtropical? We're going to find out on tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for December 20th. Well, around the world of tropics right now, we still have the ghost of an area of interest that we had, 93S, still down there and marked on our global view, but the rest of the stuff that we're looking at are percentage chances for possible tropical cyclones in the next few days. Or, as the case may be, subtropical cyclones as we pour over the Atlantic, where we see this developing system right now, very broad at this time, but it is wrapping up nicely and we're still giving it a 40% chance of development. It's looking not quite certain that it's going to actually do anything at this point, but still the chance is there for that system to maybe become nameable. Well, in the Eastern Pacific, of course, it's a graveyard at this time of year, so not feeling very festive there. But as you can see, there's not much going on, just a few clouds over the easternmost part of the East Pacific off the coast of Mexico. Might produce one or two stray storms along the coast. In the Western Pacific, we've got that area of interest, a new one that's developing now off the coast of Borneo, which could feed off some of that energy from that Philippine system and become a tropical cyclone near Vietnam. A really complicated situation there. Also, another decent looking area of interest out to sea, but we're not giving it any chance of development. Indian Ocean, we're back up to 40% chance for the Bay of Bengal system that we've been watching for quite some time actually. Models are depicting it could deepen a little bit and it might just have enough to become a brief tropical cyclone, whether it's a depression or storm, not sure yet. And in the southwest Indian Ocean, that XTD and a 20% chance that we've now given further east towards the Christmas Island and Cocos Keeling Island region could become a tropical cyclone into the next week. And in the Australian region, we're watching for that 20% chance as well for a system that's about to move off the coast of the Cape York Peninsula, Queensland, and will then start to move off towards the southeast. A threat to land, not major, but it could be a rain threat. Let's check in on some satellite imagery today, and this is what the Atlantic area of interest is looking like as of the production time. Really starting to get tighter with a potential circulation starting to take shape down there, but still nowhere near being considered a subtropical or tropical cyclone. There still needs to be a lot more work to be done, including detaching from that front right now. Convective pattern has some work to do there as well. So here is the Western Pacific with a few systems there now. That what's left of that possible depression over the Philippines, another area of interest out east, and then all of that cloud down there near Borneo, which is what we're watching for potential development as it starts to drift northwards into the South China Sea. And then both of those systems, the one down there and the one over the Philippines, will meet up probably, and its energy will converge. And then we may see a brief tropical cyclone, certainly a lot of rain. Now here is this system over the Bay of Bengal off the east coast of India. Certainly looks like it's been tightening up lately on this imagery. Convection has been quite displaced from where the apparent center would be, although it has moved underneath the convection in those latest frames. So could this be a positive movement for this potential tropical cyclone, and could it become a brief named storm? Well, it looks like it is getting close at this time, although we're not giving it a status yet. We've slightly updated the chances though to 40%. Yesterday we ran with 30. Big convective tops on that in satellite imagery there. There's the Zaire imagery as well, a few cloud tops there into the minus 80s at times as the center drifts northwards. Well, here's this system over Queensland, Australia, the Cape York Peninsula, and down towards Cairns now. And you can see it is slowly moving southeasterly, a bit of convection blowing up on its western side. No real sign of a centre of circulation there on satellite, but of course it is over land, so it is going to struggle. But I think the signs for this are actually looking better than expected so far. We're still giving only a 20% chance of development on it at this time. It has a fairly small window as it moves over the Coral Sea. It will move southeasterly. It could produce some significant rainfall for the coast of Queensland for the next couple of days, and it could produce up to, I think it was about 150 millimeters of rain in a few spots. Here's some radar imagery of it as well. It is rotating, but no real sign of a circulation as mentioned. And this is the Mackay radar from a stable point of view, showing the system starting to move in from the northwest, and it looks like what would be the center is about to reach the coast. Another look at this Philippine system. If it did have a center, it looks like it would be just on the southern tip of Bohol right now and towards Cebu there, and just a tiny flick of convection there near where this apparent center would be, and just very sporadic cloud tops and thunderstorms blowing up across Samar and parts of the Visayas. Here's this other system to the east over the western and central Micronesian islands. Convection displaced off towards the north, with no real sign of a center of circulation at all on this one at the moment, and it looks like it is actually waning in those latest frames. This system shouldn't form. It will probably only be traceable for a couple more days. It does look interesting from a visible satellite point of view, but on the infrared it shows that there is major surgery required. Wide shot of the Atlantic right now, looking out off the US East Coast. There's a few storms blowing up as a front moves off towards the northeast, and there's that system off towards the far east, and you can see just how large its influence is there, and some of the rainfall just about to reach the Azores. Eastern Pacific, you can see quite a big mass of cloud funneling towards the coast of Mexico. Not too much precipitation in there though. And here's a wide shot of the Western Pacific. We've seen this shot a few times now, but looking at an even wider picture here of those systems that are currently active, and a wide shot of the North Indian Ocean showing that system does look like it is taking shape. Really large aerial coverage as well, with those cloud tops mainly on the northern side, but part of the western side as well. Just off the coast of India there with its rainfall. The one little cell there just reaching the coast now near Chennai, and in the southwest Indian Ocean you can see what's left of that Invest 93S, and another little disturbance near the Seychelles up there as well, which has been capturing people's attention. Doesn't look like it's going to do anything. And a little burst of convection there as well south of Indonesia. That is the next one we're watching out for now, which could develop into a tropical cyclone. And looking out in the South Pacific here quickly, not too much going on here. A big cluster of clouds though all across those islands. Well, sea surface temperatures obviously are off the boil in the Atlantic, where that potential system is. It's really cold, around 22 degrees Celsius. Caribbean still holding strong, 30 degrees in one or two spots. Western Pacific's holding on to those temperatures pretty good as well, except in the South China Sea, where that system could develop. Although towards the east of the South China Sea, still looking good around the Philippines. Southwest Indian Ocean, the hotspot is off the west coast of Madagascar, where temperatures are pushing above 30 degrees Celsius, and the Mozambique Channel in general is looking good. Mauritius getting up to around 27 degrees Celsius now. Off the coast of Australia, extremely warm in a few spots there, all around the northern reaches, around 30 to 32 degrees Celsius in a few spots there off the western Australian coast and the Northern Territory and the Gulf of Carpentaria. Coral Sea getting up there too. It is above average compared to normal in that area, which is important right now, around 2 or 3 degrees above in the Coral Sea. Similar for the Western Pacific as a whole. Southwest Indian Ocean, it's warmer in the subtropical zone there rather than the tropical zone in terms of anomaly. And in the Atlantic, it's a little bit above average in the Caribbean. Obviously Eastern Pacific and that central zone there showing off some considerable low anomalies over the equator, signaling a potential La Nina. In the Western Pacific, still holding on to a fair amount of oceanic heat content today as well, with a few elevated values off the coast of the Philippines. In general though, the basin is quietening down. And off into the South Pacific Ocean as well. Coral Sea starting to warm up there too in terms of the oceanic heat content, but it's off Vanuatu that's the hottest spot right now that has a realistic chance of seeing cyclone activity soon. That is the area to watch, and anything that might spawn near the Solomon Islands, it looks like it will get a pretty good start if it formed near there. Let's take a look at what the computer models are saying then. First of all, foregone conclusion with this system in the Atlantic. The question is whether it actually attains subtropical or tropical characteristics. I'd say tropical probably not, subtropical maybe, but looking at what the GFS displayed in terms of its infrared simulation, satellite simulation, it didn't look like it completed the deal. Other models probably aren't as lenient either, so 40% less than half chance we're keeping it at. Pacific Ocean, looking for this potential system. You can see it there, possibly even a tropical storm there off Borneo. Very, very low latitude. Then it sweeps up northwards, becomes very messy as it gets wound up in all of that monsoonal energy, and what's left of it might just about make landfall in the southern part of Vietnam. Whether it does or not, it's going to produce some strong winds along the coast, and that will enhance conditions off the top of the Philippines and southern Taiwan as well, and it will also increase the rainfall, which we'll look at in a minute. Looking towards that Bay of Bengal system as well, you just see that brief period of green there where it reaches tropical storm force winds. Does it get that circulation sorted out? The GFS model doesn't think so, but it can happen very quickly. These circulations can sometimes be quite transient as well, so it could even go missed in operational analysis. They often do when they're brief spin-ups. We'll see whether it happens or whether it has indeed happened already, but at this point it looks like 40% chance is a fair deal. Rainfall expectations for this whole area then, obviously rainfall will be elevated. For India briefly though, the area around Visakhapatnam probably, and out towards the east, probably getting the highest amounts of rain, although along the coast probably not above 100 millimeters, although if the storm's track did change, that would bring maybe 200 or 300 millimeters ashore. In Vietnam, we're looking at possibly 300 millimeters there, and look at some extremely high values near where this potential system is generating north of Borneo. 27 inches there, but that is offshore, and in the Philippines 19, maybe 20 inches of rain there as well from enhanced monsoonal activity. That's 500 millimeters. Now in the South Pacific, the GFS is back to its old tricks again. It always does this at this time of year. It breeds a big line of storms, and it's done it again here. Whether any of those actually develop is a big question mark as we go towards the new year there. Certainly one of them is on top that passes through Tonga and off towards the east. That is in the medium range, day 5 to 10. Keep an eye on it. Scan the barcode and that will take you through to the Forster Team merch store, where you can request full season and individual storm animations at any time, and our obviously merch lines as well. We're not still waiting for Hode anymore. I was so sick of saying that, but we waited so long for it. You may as well get a t-shirt to commemorate that. And in the Western Pacific, in the silly range even, this is day 10 to 16. Bit incoherent tonight, I am. Looking towards this system in the Western Pacific. This was on yesterday's run. Again, this is in the new year, so it's a very long way out, but look at that. That's a substantial typhoon, probably category 2, sweeping into northern Mindanao and the southern Visayas region of the Philippines, forms almost out of nothing. Very similar circumstances and track to this system that we've just been tracking for the last few days, but again, I must tell you, very, very long range. It's next year, for goodness sake. And in the South Indian Ocean, another system there as well, forming in the new year. That is obviously a possibility. Of course, we are expecting that kind of activity now. There it is, reaching category 1 status, drifting off towards the west. Looks like it's losing strength towards the end of that run there. Of course, again, that's day 10 to 16. We're not expecting anything major, certainly nothing this strong in the South Indian Ocean in the period in between. Well, what happened on this day? It was a major typhoon in the form of Typhoon Axel, which was about to make landfall in the Philippines on December 20th, 1994. It reached a Category 4 peak with winds of 130 miles per hour estimated, before weakening just before making landfall in the Philippines in southern Samar, I think it was in the end. We also had Tropical Storm Bobby, which had very high cloud tops, but was only a weak to moderate tropical storm when it reached its peak during the course of this week, way out in the open Western Pacific. Nothing else was active on this day in that year. Or this year either, in terms of named storms, so we're waiting for our next one. Could it be the arrival of Tony in the Atlantic? I doubt it, but That's the next name. In the Eastern Pacific, the next name is Miriam, and I seriously doubt that. And in the Central Pacific, the next name is Iona, also something that won't happen this year. In the Western Pacific, the next name is Pabuk. Who knows, that might still happen. In the North Indian Ocean, it is Shakti. 80 storms so far around the world in 2024. The average is 92. We're also below average on ACE. We're about 80 points behind. But this year has shown us that, we can get serious impacts from lesser numbers, and we definitely have this year. Australia's next name is Sean, Southwest Indian Ocean, the Kaledi, and the South Pacific, Pitta. We'll be back again with another tropical weather bulletin on Saturday night.
Become an ultimate fan today.